Good morning, everybody. Kyre mode, RPG. These are new people. Hello, hello. Hi, I'm gonna be silent. Okay, that's all right. We like you just the way you are. Let's get to it. This is the weekly review for the development of Ultra Engine, and this week we're going to be talking mostly about content. Actually, we're getting close enough to the finishing goal that I'm there. Although there's still like some technical features to left to do. I'm actually thinking a lot about content because if you don't have 3D models and materials and textures and such, then it doesn't matter what features you have in the engine. You need it's you're just not gonna things aren't gonna look good unless you have good quality artwork to go with it. And so last week I did something new. We have integration with ambientcg.com built into the editor. This is available on the beta branch right now. And this allows easy access to more than 200 HDR skies, over 1,800 PBR materials, and everything has a CCO license, so it's all Creative Commons. So it's all free to use in your game. And you can already download each of these items individually from the website if you go to ambientcg.com. But this just makes it, the idea here is to make things extremely convenient. And I'll show you it working for the people who haven't seen this yet. We have a new tab over here. This is called Asset Library. It's a little bit of a lengthy title, but that's what we're going with for now. And then this shows you the Ambient CG logo, and then you have these two categories, HDRIs and materials. If we click on any HDRI, it loads the thumbnail, and I decide, okay, I like this one. I'm going to select 2K resolution, press the install button, and it downloads that pretty quickly. And it just generates the PBR. It generates a cube map into a DDS file. It also generates the specular and diffuse cube maps that are needed for PBR rendering, and it just automatically sets our background to this image, and so we can start. I mean, that's extremely convenient. So this started as a the user Klepto first implemented an add-on that downloaded content and did exactly this, and then this is kind of a second or third pass at that same idea. PBR materials are available, and they work the same way. Okay, I like this one. I'm going to press install. It downloads it. And this is very nice because PBR materials are made up of several images, and it just automatically does the channel splitting and converts it into DDS format and sets up the material for us. So it's just one click to get everything. I mean, we already do quite a lot to convert textures into PBR images. So if you drop the original images into this folder and like right click on the diffuse texture and select, generate image, it can generate material. It can usually find all the right textures to use, but this certainly is convenient. And there's a lot of content. Now this is done as the Ambient CG integration. This is just a Lua script. The system is built into the editor, and then there's a Lua script that defines the API calls and the steps that are being taken after the download. So this system is designed. It doesn't have to just work with Ambient CG. It can work with other content providers as well. That's the idea of it. So other possible providers that we could integrate with are sharetextures.com, polyhaven.com, Sonus, soundimage.org, and Sketchfab. Let's talk a little bit about these. Sharetextures.com, they're basically the same thing as Ambient CG. They've got 1,500 PBR materials under a Creative Commons license. They do have a web API for that. Polyhaven, they have a lot of HDR skies. They have fewer materials, but they do have some very nice stuff. Their terrain materials especially are very, very good quality. Their 3D models, they have a collection of 3D models. The models all look good. There's a mix between high and low poly stuff. Some of it seems like it's meant for CG. Some of it is more appropriate for games. But everything they do have is in GLTF format, so that's important because that means that everything that you download works, and everything is available under a Creative Commons license. This is a working integration that Klepto sent me a screenshot of. So this is definitely very possible. And when you have another provider, it just appears next in the list. Here you can see Polyhaven listed under Ambient CG. So this definitely is doable in the near future. Sonus, they are famous for releasing very large packs of game audio. They always do like an audio pack around the GDC, this time of the GDC, and if you've downloaded any of these, they are huge. I downloaded like maybe 2 of them, and I think I extracted 1 of them, and there's actually like so much content that it's actually like a big challenge to even go through. There's they probably have about 200 gigabytes of free sounds, and at that point, it's kind of like, what do you do with that? Like, you can't make that a DLC. You probably don't want to download all of that stuff onto your computer. So for that, like the browsing approach like this actually might make a lot of sense. Soundimage, they always post updates on our website. They've got a lot of free music to use in your games. That might be another possibility if they decide that they want to do a web API like this. And then Sketchfab, they have a lot of 3D models. Their whole thing is they call themselves the YouTube of 3D models. So it's mostly like a way for artists to show off their work, but they do have a lot of downloadable stuff. They do also have some paid stuff. It's a mix of high and low poly content. What I like about Sketchfab is everything is available in GLTF format, and they have a built-in web viewer. So if you buy something on Sketchfab, what you see is what you get. Whereas I find in my experience, when you buy 3D models on like TurboSquid or CG Trader, I'd say you get what you expected about 50% of the time. Like about half the time that I buy something on one of those websites, the results are just unusable because it's in some weird format, or it's almost seems like artists intentionally try to make mistakes that you never thought were even possible. Just like I see things that I never would have even thought of. They find a way to mess it up somehow, and I'm going to attribute that to the poor quality of the 3D file formats that we have. Other than, GLTF I certainly have some issues with GLTF. But GLTF is by far the best thing that we have because it pretty much always works. And the content on Sketchfab, there's different licenses attached to it. Some of it is Creative Commons, some of it is attribution licenses where you just have to include a text file saying where you got the model. And some of it can't, most of it can be downloaded, but some of it is just for artists to show off. So it's definitely a mixed bag, but that is by far the biggest repository of usable 3D models that exists.
At this point, maybe it's a good idea that if you have a license, attribution license, for example, that we have some, I don't know if it's possible, an XML file where all the licenses are listed. So yeah, you can download it, and the system is putting the stuff into this license XML. So yeah.
So in other words, like
easier.
in the install process, like what I showed with the ambient CG, if it detects that this specific license, if it detects that, then it just automatically generates like adds it to a text file or something in the game's root directory.
Yeah, exactly. So that you can manage all the stuff easier, because I think at some point you have so much models, and if you forgot a license, you can get in Hell's Kitchen for it. If you release it on Steam without a valid license.
Yeah, I think that's probably easy to do. That's a good idea. Now some of these okay, so the data for like, although the content is free, these guys usually make money on advertising and sponsorships and also Patreon. They also have individual people like support them on Patreon and such. And there's another one, I forget what it's called. Ambient CGs, their total data that they have is something like 4 terabytes. And they probably have it posted on like Amazon or Backblaze, so it's relatively cheap. But they probably still have. I mean, their monthly bills for bandwidth are probably pretty significant. And when I hook into their web API directly, I'm increasing their bandwidth bills, and I'm also potentially decreasing their website traffic, because people are no longer going to their websites, so they're no longer viewing ads. The convenience is really significant, but that's so that just so you understand, that's their perspective. They're paying for the bandwidth for you to download things. They usually want some kind of sponsorship in order to integrate with their web APIs. So if we want to add support for Polyhaven, then that's going to cost me an amount of money that's not. It's enough that I don't want to pay it up front because it's not super expensive, but it's an amount that I don't really want to spend. So one thing I put out there was like on Discord, I asked people like, hey, okay, so Polyhaven sells a Blender add-on for $30 that does exactly what I'm showing here. Although anyone using Blender can go to their website and download everything for free. They have a plugin for Blender so that you can download things directly into Blender in the same way that I've shown you. And they charge $30 for that. And so I asked on Discord, I said, hey, if I sold this as a DLC for $30, is this something you guys would be interested in? And about 8 people said that they were interested in that. I don't know. Like I want to ask you guys, like, do you like this approach? Do you think that this is useful, or is this just? Is this a waste of time for me? Do you want to see more stuff like this? What's your opinion?
As I told you yesterday, I think this is kind of useful. So it's a good way to make content easy available for every user of the engine.
I think it's extremely useful for like indies and stuff. I mean, basically anyone. super nice to be able to just pull in stuff without opening a browser, like a web browser. I don't know. I'm almost wondering if we could like almost like set up like rather than being like I don't know. I gotta do my. I'm sorry. I'll collect my thoughts later.
Plisa says, I like this approach. Kyra Mode says, I think it would be a good idea. Trash Can Useful says, GM, General Motors. I don't know what that means.
Good morning.
Oh,
morning,
okay. I'm
everyone.
not up
That was
with all
the,
the.
that was the introduction.
Okay, I'm not up with all the internet. People are using so many like acronyms now, like IIRC. I think it's getting excessive, but
I also would buy this DLC if you release one.
Yeah, I definitely support stuff like this because I mean, honestly, I think it makes a huge difference, especially with the way like when you click install, it's all set up for the engine right there. So it's like you don't even have to worry about what folder you drag it into.
RPG. Okay. I did find this for 3D models. It looks like the API free, but doesn't have that many items. Yeah, there's also like websites like opengameart.org, but their content is not. The websites that I've focused on do tend to have like pretty good, pretty fairly high quality stuff. Um, I think PVR materials and skyboxes, that's something where you can get everything you need for free. There's other websites that have paid content, which you might also find useful. But that's that kind of stuff you can get for free. You can get some 3D models for free, like animated characters and like complete scenes. That's something that you tend to not find. Maybe in the future, who knows? Maybe we'll see stuff like that for free. But yeah, I mean, I think there's like a mix of like free and paid stuff. Okay. All right, so everybody understands there are costs involved for the people providing this. There's something else. Something I just found this like last night or this morning. So Sketchfab was actually purchased by Epic Games, and they're taking that and ArtStation and Quixel, and they're turning it into a new store they call Fab. I just found out about this last night. And multi-engine, multi-platform. So it sounds like it's not just for Unreal. It sounds like it's something that's more for all game engines. We'll see. I'm inquiring about it, and I'll just see what the deal is with. But it says native integrations and API connectivity to leading content creation tools will bring speed and agility to world building. Let's see how that plays out.
Normally, the Epic stuff is free. It's pretty free. Maybe you can also get access to Quixel or something. The Megascans.
Well, they do that because they're trying to. It's free for use with Unreal.
Yeah, I think it's also free to use with other stuff.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they need to have this to make the engine more popular. I think they are really interested into getting the tools to people to make better games in every platform they want to use.
Maybe it has to be sold through their store or something if you use it. So that's okay. Okay, so that's pretty much all I've got about like content, and also I have like a couple of DLC. There's some stuff that just you're not going to get this way, and so I have some DLCs, particularly focusing on like vegetation for the mesh layer system for the release of 096. Any other questions or comments about just content in general like this?
The sound one would be really nice to have as well. 'Cause that sounds like a nightmare looking for sounds.
Are you talking about
Like for the asset library, like you were talking that Sonus or something like that. I don't.
Yeah. You're like more for music or for sound effects?
Um, more sound effects.
Okay.
Because I think like being able to have just, oh no, I need a clink or something real quick. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm thinking if you like hover over the have a bunch of thumbnails, and then if you hover over it, then it downloads and plays the sound. I can contact them and see uh, what they're, just explain the problem to them and see if they're okay with me like hosting the data on our server, and then we would have a web API, I think, to so that it would all work. But they might be open to that.
Just just as an interrupt here, Quixel or Mixer, any of those are specifically under the UE engine licensing. Otherwise, it is under the content license agreement. So it's a bit iffy in that area.
What's the critical difference between the two?
One I believe may be attribution, but it's specifically like you get it free with the Unreal Engine kind of thing, and then other than that, it's up to a certain funding.
Oh,
for
okay. So
use
it's
in
it's
other
free
engines.
if you're poor.
It's free if you use UE, but other than that, you have to like get a personal licensing or something like that, and up to a certain threshold.
It's $20 in a month for a personal license. And if you reach 2 million, you pay $200. I think if you make 2 million founding in a year, then $200 is not that much for making a game.
Okay, so it is paid then.
Yeah,
It's just,
the Quicksilver stuff is paid.
yeah. Okay. Um, moving on. Something that's happening probably within the next 3 months is Envision PowerBoard 5 is coming out. So IPB has powered the Leadworks and now Ultra community since 2009. Actually, our software store and the license management system for the standalone version of Ultra is built using the Envision Power web API. And it's a really cool company and piece of technology that, I don't know, it's like, it's just something people aren't really aware of. But I'll just show you a little bit about their preview for IPv5. So having light and dark mode is
Hi, everyone.
is built into their software now. It's kind of funny. The guy who designed our skin for IPB for our website, he then got hired by the company, and he's now like the lead designer for their stuff. And you'll notice their dark mode especially looks a lot like our website. So I think what happened actually is my design for our community had a lot of influence on I designed it, he implemented it, and then I think that design had some influence on him, and now it's sort of like our design has almost become like the official default IPB skin. So I guess the stuff in the future you can probably expect is we'll probably have like a side panel on the left side that's kind of Discord-ish. You'll be able to flip between light and dark mode, and just in general, you'll have faster response time for the pages and stuff. So that's just a small thing that you'll probably see in the next 3 months. My plan for the next week is to do bug fixes. I know we have a lot piled up last week that I did not get to, and then I'll be spending a lot of time preparing the DLCs we have coming up for the release of 096, which is we're probably about 2 weeks or so away from that. I want to go full screen for the dramatic. Okay, and then we have a screenshot from Klepto's water system in progress. Any questions? I don't know if it was asked before, but will there be native Linux support? Yes, but my thinking on that is it's easier. Like right now, we're getting updates like almost every day. If I try to support Linux right now, then I spend twice as much time compiling and uploading. It makes sense to get like 1.0 out and have it, have that all very stable, and then do the Linux support. Everything has been designed with support for Linux in mind, so everything is like cross-platform. The UI is written entirely custom, which turned out to be a really great idea, because all of this will work seamlessly on Linux. With Leadworks Linux support, I was hamstringed by a lot of intermediate libraries that don't work. A lot of stuff on Linux, like what's the GTK? GTK is very bad. That's one of the user interface libraries for Linux, and it's horrible. And that's what I used for Leadworks, and it caused a ton of problems. So this time around, we'll have much better support for Linux because I'm no longer leaving critical components up to. I'm no longer letting those bad libraries infect our software. Was there anything about integrated volumetrics, voxel fog, clouds, etc.? I want to add volumetric lights for each light, and I know how it's going to be done. But there's other things that I want to do first. Will the engine be released on the Epic Game Store? I don't. It might be. I don't have any strong opinion on that, one way or the other. Kyr mode is typing.
Something cool would be that if you have something like a material, and if you put it in the scene, then the skybox is getting changed.
Wait, what?
You know what I mean? So you have the editor open, and if you download an skybox from this asset library, that you create something like a material icon in the project browser, and if you drag and drop this into the scene, then the thing gets changed.
Well, I showed earlier, like when you download a Skybox, it does automatically set it.
Yeah, but what if you have multiple scenes and you want to have multiple skyboxes? So you could just drag and drop them into the scene afterwards after you set up this, and then the skybox is getting changed with everything.
Yeah, I'm just like, how do you identify? Okay, so the Skybox, you have the diffuse Skybox like this. That's just a regular cube map, and then you have, and then you have the diffuse image, which is like a super blurry cube map, and then you have the specular image, and this is how PBR roughness is done. I'll show you what happens as we go down the mip maps. These aren't normal mip maps. Like each mip map gets blurrier and blurrier, and that's how roughness in PBR is. That's how it makes things look rough. Like here's a rough surface, here's a smooth surface. So if I drag this file onto this viewport, this is just a cube map.
Would need an extra item in this folder, or something like this, an extra file or something.
Yeah, like a sky material kind of thing.
Yeah. It would be super useful because otherwise you need to go to the world settings and change 3 textures. And this other thing is just one drag and drop. Or just, yeah.
Yeah, so what he's saying is you have to select these 3 different things, because you have the diffuse, the skybox, and the specular.
Otherwise you just would drag and drop, and you could save also here just one material.
Sky
material.
You're right that there is some like friction there. That could be. You're right that could be improved. I'm not sure. I think we should like think about that, like before we implement something.
Yeah,
but I think you are correct.
Yeah, you could just create a sky material, and then you just can edit the sky material if you want to change something on the textures. Otherwise, you can just load in there one file or drag and drop it into the scene, and then it gets saved.
Well, let me think about that, because like a sky material, like, I mean, what would happen if you drag that onto an object, onto a normal object? What would happen?
You need to ignore it.
Where'd it go?
The editor. Or you just apply it as skybox. So you need to find out if a user has dragged it into a scene, if it's a sky material, and if it's the case, then you just apply it as the skybox for this scene.
Well, maybe that could be used as, maybe that could double up. You know, use a custom shader family, use a different shader family, and when you drag that material onto something like this, it just displays the skybox in that one place. So if you only want the sky, you don't have to set the sky everywhere. You can just have it like appear like in a window if you have a level. I don't know. I'll think about it.
And the another thing is the animation callbacks, where we talked about a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah. I know. But we'll see, like when I can get that done. A few other things. I don't know if parallax was considered as a possible materials option. Yeah, definitely. It's not very hard to it would not be very hard to add that in. It's just you just have to offset the UV coordinates by the displacement map. Dynamic sky material for lighting, atmosphere. Klepto's actually been showing a lot of screenshots like that, and I believe he's working on something that will probably be released for you guys. And possible expansions for terrain editor other than one terrain. Okay, so originally we started, like if you go back to 095 actually, like on the default branch, you can create multiple terrains, and you like a terrain is treated more like just an object, a normal object. And it actually, like, it caused a lot of problems. And then what I did is I switched it to where a terrain is there's just one terrain for the level. Why is this so shiny? That's strange. I think my shaders in this project are messed up, actually. This works a lot better because, like, the vegetation system, getting things to align to the terrain was very, very difficult. Getting them to align very precisely. We just get better results with this approach, because otherwise and also, like, it was very difficult because, like, you have to select a terrain and then you have to select the tool you're using, and then if you click out on something other than the terrain, then it deselects the terrain, and it caused a lot of problems in the interface, and it was creating like this endless list of bugs that have to be fixed. So simplifying that was actually that actually had a very positive impact. I don't know what a splat map is. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Would it be possible, just for the information, if you create two levels and combine them in one and offset one level completely to a different position?
Oh yeah, I mean, well, no, because I removed I think I removed the transform
Okay.
calculation in the terrain shader actually.
Okay.
It's really hard to get the vegetation system to work right if you have, like, arbitrarily rotated and scaled terrains everywhere. Black and white. Similar to what a terrain uses, I'm afraid I don't understand. Usually you would stick to one size for all the terrain created. So would be created. If I do that, like, I will end up spending a huge amount of time on getting the just. I'll be constantly fixing the vegetation system. There's a lot of, and also the user interface. It creates a lot of complexity. There's a lot of design decisions that have to be made. I mean, in one of the earlier videos, like, we were talking for a long time about, like, how terrain selection should work because we were having so many problems with it.
Also with the thing, if you have two nearby terrains and with mountains, you remember on this? So you need a tool to weld the edges together on the terrain edges and all the stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's all these complications that arise, and I mean, is that really the best way to focus on? I mean, is that where the effort should be? Is that where we want to spend a lot of effort?
I think the best way would be to have a giga big terrain, like in a planet size or something, in the end, in a few years.
That's what I'm kind of planning on in the future, actually. Yeah, another thing is like what I want to move towards is very, very large terrains. There's kind of a plan for that, like planet-sized simulations. And so, like, our mesh layer system has been designed with that in mind. I would like to do like realistic geospatial visualization with real Earth data. I'd rather be spending my time implementing that than worrying about like the interface for rotating terrains around and turning them upside down and stuff.
It's kind of insane. Everyone want to have big terrains, but yeah, even if you try to fill up a terrain like 2x2k terrain, so 2x2k, you also need all the assets for this. So yeah.
Yeah, I want to be able to do like realistic, like space and military simulations in the future. MFS. I don't know what that means.
I think it means Microsoft Flight Simulator.
How do you how did you even like interpret that? You're probably right, but I think it would be a good idea to have a feature where you can cooperate with a team member, like I place a building and it would show on the screen. It's I think one defining feature of small successful companies, like people who make like small companies that make a successful game and stuff. I think one really important defining feature of them is their success is not so much based on how good they are. It's based on what things they choose not to pursue. Like they have the ability to just say, okay, we could do this, but we're not going to. And they're able to focus on like getting their product out. So it's like there's an infinite number of ways that I could spend time. And this goes for you guys as well, like with your games. There's an infinite number of things that you can spend your time on and feel like you're making progress, but it's not really like it's not, but you're not really. It's kind of a trick because you're spending time and you feel like you're adding value, but it's not really something that's going to make any difference for your users. So being able to, I guess, like what I'm saying is being able to prioritize things is really super, super important, both for you guys and for me. So like, things like collaborative, being able to collaborate with, other people and edit a scene live. I mean, yeah, that would be cool, but what's the, I'm really looking for like the thing that is the most important, that makes the biggest difference in people's lives. And that goes for like this stuff as well. Like, that's why I was asking you earlier, like, this stuff is, the integrating with ambient CG and other sources. That's why I was asking, like, does this really like make a difference in your life? Do you really like it? I mean, do you really want more of this? And it sounded like the answer was, people are pretty enthusiastic about it. So, in this case, it looks like it's probably something that will save people a lot of time. But that doesn't go for everything. Because if I don't like prioritize what I'm focusing on, then I'll just waste time and not really. Yeah.
Can tell you what I need in a few weeks. And I think everyone will need this as well. And this is a tool to export the game or to ship the game.
Oh yeah, the packaging step. Yeah.
Because at the moment we are able to create games, but yeah, releasing the game, I was writing a bit with Spider-Pig, because I think he has a game released on Steam, and he makes some really special stuff in order to export all the stuff.
It's actually actually pretty easy. All you have to do is put everything in an encrypted zip file, and then you can specify the password in your main game. I haven't done this stuff yet because I'd like to do it I'd like to make it a scripted thing so that people have like some flexibility of how they package everything up. Because sometimes people want to customize it. But yeah, I don't think it's like super difficult to implement. It's more just like
because with my survival game, I try to release some playable alpha demo to some friends and get their opinion about it. And so I would need like a few weeks.
Okay.
Something like this.
Yeah, it should be pretty easy. I think like right now, I think you can just. I mean, we could probably write a script in like a few minutes to actually do that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's not that necessary yet, but I think everyone will have use of something like this. And
yeah, definitely.
In the end of the day, you want to create a game and you want to release it, so you don't want to to ship all source files and all the stuff which are not really needed.
Definitely.
For example, the Visual Studio Project or something else.
Oh yeah. Lisa is typing something similar like that was in. Yeah. Yeah, it's just I would like the system in Ultra to be a little bit more, to give you a little bit more control over it. The system in LEDWorks, it worked quite well, but I'd like to allow some customization. Yeah, and
maybe you can even do this with I think it's an add-on, right, or is it an extension? I'm not sure what of the both is this, but I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking with Lua, and tar is built into Windows now. Like every copy of Windows 10 has tar on it, so you can just use that and the command line to make zip files. So that's what I'm thinking is have like something entirely written in Lua that like scans your project folder and then figures out all the files that should go into the zip and then compresses it using the command line to Windows and then That would be cool, and maybe encrypt the maybe compile the Lua files into Lua C. Lua has a binary format, and that's where we could store the we could probably store the password for the zip. So
Yeah. And also maybe displaying the physics colliders in the scene would be cool, like in Network. You had the option to
yeah, that would be handy.
to display the physics and all the colliders.
Yeah, I think we should be able to add that without much trouble. Okay. We have some other stuff to chat with after the video ends. Any final thoughts, questions, hopes, dreams, announcements? Okay. So that's the plan for the next 2 weeks. We'll probably see 096 release towards the end of the month. The big feature there is going to be the vegetation system, which it's like the Leadworks vegetation system, except it's that on crack or on steroids. It's very cool, and I plan to have some DLCs out to help to give you trees and such to populate your landscapes with. And that's all for this week. I will see you on the forum.